What is going on, everyone? It's your guy, Cole Jackson, back here on Road Graders, coming to you with another quick episode to do a salary cap update. We just got a bunch of information from the Ravens salary cap guru, Brian McFarland of Russell Street Report. So, once again, just to be clear, all this work, all these numbers, all these calculations, they're all Brian's. I'm just kind of going off what the information he puts out there. I'm not a math guy. This stuff isn't my forte. I'm a film guy. So big credit to Brian for always putting together the best. Be sure to follow him on Twitter at Raven Salary Cap. But just going to give you guys some of my thoughts and how I'm looking at the salary cap right now. The Ravens made one more move yesterday, signing Auzier, who has played for the Cowboys, the Bengals, and most recently the Titans, to fill out kind of their depth chart, adding into the cornerback room. So he came in at the vet min. So that means he was getting $7.5 million from Tennessee this year when they cut him. So he signed here for the vet min. So it'll be negligible in terms of impact on the salary cap. So I figured let's take a look at the work Brian did. How much money do the Ravens currently have? And can they make another move either going into the draft or after the draft? So let's dive into it. So starting with the present salary cap. And again, rule of 51, the salary cap calculation is done with the highest 51 salary cap numbers. So that's why when Auzier's number gets added, because it is the vet min, it won't be in the 51 highest. So it will have a negligible impact. So the salary cap came in at $279 million. When you factor in they carried over $2 million, you have to adjust for the incentives they had to pay out last year. They had multiple guys get incentives. So they actually ended up losing about $3 million in incentives paid last year. They also had to pay out some workout bonuses. So when you look at the adjustments, the present top 51, that gives us a present salary cap. If you go to most of the websites doing this work, it gives us a present salary cap of $11 million, which is pretty healthy. $11 million is a good position to be in. But the work Brian does, and the reason I absolutely love following him and getting insight from him, is he looks at the effective salary cap. So if you look at the term on the right side of your screen, the effective salary cap takes into account estimated future expenses. So things like your rookie contracts, your practice squad, carrying your practice squad costs money. Practice squad elevations cost money, and the Ravens always carry about $6 million, $5 to $6 million for in-season injury replacements if they need to add guys. So the reason I find this to be more effective is because you look at this, you see $11 million, let's go spend. But then you take a look at the effective cap factoring in future expenses, and it's like, okay, actually we have negative about $3 million. So that's not ideal. Worked into this. We do have the post June 1 releases where we'll be getting cap back. That includes Marcus Williams, who restructured his contract, as well as the retirement of Michael Pierce. So we will be getting that money back. So the question is, where do we go from here? Because obviously, again, there's that effective salary cap number, negative. It looks like a dash. Should be a negative. I should have made it red. So we have negative $2.9 million right now. But the Ravens still have a number of triggers they can press to create cap space. The biggest one that stands out, probably should have put it at the top, is Justin Tucker's post June 1 release. That would return $4.2 million, which would basically cover those future expenses and put us back into the positive. We just haven't really heard anything in terms of what the plan is there. I've kind of asked around. It sounds to me like the plan is to release him. That's what I've heard kind of from a few folks, but I'm very confused of why they're waiting. I don't know if it's that they want to see the outcome of the internal investigations that are being done. I honestly don't know. I haven't followed the case all that well. Obviously, if the allegations are true, want nothing to do with them. I think everybody shares that sentiment, but it looks like they're playing this one in a sense that they want to presume innocence until guilt is proven. I know a lot of people have opinions on that. I've kind of stayed away from it, but that seems to be what's happening. So that one's going to be a big ball to drop because $4.2 million is a significant chunk of money. The Ravens will have to replace a kicker on the roster, either through the draft or free agency, probably both. But that one's going to be a big one. But then we go through some of the lists here. Derrick Henry extension. That was one I thought was going to happen, to be completely honest with you. I thought that was an easy one. And a lot of these extension cap space creating moves are estimates because we don't know the value of the contract or how it's structured. So we can only assume, but it could save them up to $5 million just by extending Derrick Henry. I think the contract Saquon Barkley got is going to complicate that a little bit. Now, to be clear, I don't think he's going to get a contract similar to Saquon Barkley due to the age disparity. But anytime a position is signed and it moves the market, and Saquon Barkley's contract absolutely moved the running back market, it's going to change future contracts to other players. So that's why getting to the market first can be so critical. So again, I don't think he's going to get a Saquon Barkley type contract because he's older. But I do think the running back market moved up, and that's probably what complicated that. When you look at Lamar Jackson, ideally, they're probably looking at an extension. Obviously, there was a lot of delays in terms of getting that done last time around. Had to get to the tag. So I'm not sure how quickly that's going to get done, but they can restructure his contract, push 15 million over the next 2 years, adding 7.5 million ish to the next 2 years of his contract, and save 15 this year. So the reason I wanted to go through this with you guys is that's a significant chunk of money, right? If you factor in just Lamar restructuring, creating that much cap space, and a post-1 release to Justin Tucker, that's giving them about $17 million to play with. And that's, again, factoring in future expenses. We don't have to worry about those. Those are factored into the effective cap number. So the reason I wanted to look at this is they do have a lot of leeway to make an aggressive move, whether or not they want to do that, whether they want to push money into future years, bring in a guy that they might need to provide an extension to, those sort of considerations. That's where I think a lot of fans have a lot of discussions around the aggressiveness, right? So can they do it? Absolutely. Here's your numbers. They could, a post June 1 release and a Roquan Smith restructure creates 10 million in effective cap. And those are, again, two easy moves. So if you restructured Lamar and Roquan in addition to the Justin Tucker release, there's, $24 million in cap space that is, again, factoring in those future expenses. So all this to say is you start having to worry about kind of the future cap hits of some of these significant contracts. They already restructured Marlon Humphrey, push money into future years. Lamar Jackson restructured, push money into future years. So there are those considerations. But if the Ravens did want to make an aggressive move, they absolutely have the triggers in place to do that. And if you go back to the episode I did on Monday, looking at the depth chart looks pretty good right now. Like they have, especially adding a veteran corner that they just did, they have set it up so that they have an easy way to getting to a good cap space spot, and they have 11 draft picks. So the Ravens are in a really good spot right now in terms of elevating this roster and adding upgrades. So it's just about, where do they want to do that and how aggressive do they want to get pushing money into future years. So that's kind of what I want to hear from you guys. Drop a comment down below. Is this the year to get aggressive? Are they playing it smart by, not doing that and taking some of those cap hits this year to mitigate what they add on next year? Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. But that's kind of how I'm looking at the salary cap. So I would say overall, they're in a very healthy spot. Like that's genuinely how I feel, because again, you can see some very simple ways to get to salary cap even in the effective cap number, and then a number of triggers here to create a decent amount of space to make an additional pretty significant move. Like there's nothing to say they can't do that to create, a $15 million move just by, again, that Justin Tucker post June 1 release and restructuring just Lamar that would give them about 17 million in effective cap space. Again, factoring in those future expenses. So drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown. I try and talk the cap. I try and learn it. It's one of the hardest things I've found. I'd rather break down film than break down the salary cap. But big shout out to Brian McFarland for offering us his knowledge and his expertise. Hopefully I did him justice. Thank you to Brian, and thank you to Russell Street Report for offering that knowledge up to us. So that's all I have for you guys. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Peace out, everyone.